Hi, it's Lisa. We're going to make this Christmas card as part of my Use It and Move It series. I have two stamp sets here from Inkadinkadoo with the Snowman, and I used this one in another video the other day, and then these designs in various Christmas or winter sort of themes. In fact, it's called Winter Trails, so it wouldn't necessarily have to be Christmas themed. I'm going to start with the embossing on the back. We're going to emboss this in white, and we'll stamp and color our snowman. We're going to use some watercolors and regular markers, and then add some pattern paper to our card. So this is cardstock from Stampin' Up. It's the Wild Wasabi color, I think. This happened to be what goes with my pattern paper. Go over that with the embossing buddy and stamp the Winter Trails design in Versamark ink. And then let's coat this with white embossing powder. I use Stampin' Up's embossing powder. You could use any brand. And I'm just going to run the heat gun over this to emboss it. Some of the designer paper I'm using, this is from Juniper from last year from Basic Gray. I had this left, and it's got all these great sayings on it, and I'm just going to have a corner of it. I cut a 1.5 inch square off of this paper, and then we're just going to cut it in half so we can still see the Let It Snow words there. And I'll glue that into the corner. And then we're also going to do a strip of paper down the left side of this card. That's this paper, that's trees. Alright, so now we're ready to do our snowman, and we've also going to put some trim across this corner. To do our snowman, I'm stamping on watercolor paper, and we're going to stamp him in archival ink. Black archival ink. Every once in a while I'll see on message boards people asking what black ink they use. I used Stays On for years, and some stamps it worked well with and other stamps it didn't, and finally I think a friend had this ink and I tried it and I really loved it and got some for myself, and it's just the best ink. I just love the archival inks, and I have bought several of these in other colors, but my Stays On I'm getting rid of. In fact, I've already thrown away, I think, the ink pads. I think I still have the re-inkers. I have both the jet black and the timber brown re-inkers, and if any of you have Stays On and you like those colors, if you're in the US, I'd be happy to mail them to you. I hate to just throw them out. There's probably not, there's still a good amount of black in there, and there's tons of the brown. I'd like to just send them out as one package, so if somebody has both of these colors and would like to have them and has a US address, I'll just mail them to you and get rid of them that way, because I just say it's not very environmental to just throw them away, and I don't need them in my scrap room anymore. But some people really like Stays On, so if you like Stays On and you have those, I would be happy to pass on those re-inkers to you. But they do need to go to a US address because of shipping liquids. Alright, so I'm going to cut this out with my Creative Memories cutter. And my Creative Memories cutter is getting dull. I didn't press quite hard enough, but I'm going to get him out of there. tidy the edge up a little bit on that. Here we go. Okay. Now, I want to give him some background color in the blue. And when I did this card, I did the red marker first, and then I went around the blue, and you can see the red ran a little bit. So we're going to do the blue first. It always makes sense to do the lighter color first. Got a simple little watercolor set here. It does not have a light blue, so I'm going to have to dilute a little bit to get this blue a lighter color. So we'll put it on a little bit heavier and then just add a little more water to kind of lighten it down. So I don't want it so dark. I'm really just adding water and spreading out just a little bit of blue that I put on there to keep the color kind of light. And then once that dries, we can color in the scarf. Okay, let's assemble the final bits of this. What I wanted was a border around this with the red, but I'm using 6x6 papers. I don't have a lot of this, and I wanted to make a few cards. So what I did was cut a circle the same size as this one, and then just cut it in half. Because of course you can cut one the same size and sort of offset it a little bit, and it creates, you know, a shadow, but you're wasting half of the material behind what you're offsetting. So I just cut it in half, and then I could use it for both cards. And I'm going to put this on with some dimensional adhesive. Okay. All right. Now the last thing is I'd like to have some ribbon going across here, and I really wanted red, but I don't have any small red ribbon left. So it's definitely going on my list for when I go to the craft store, but for the time being, I'm going to use some white ribbon and some baker's twine. And what I'm going to do with this is, rather than try to tie it around that corner and get it to stay and everything, I'm going to take it and put it around the corner. Let's trim that. And we're going to put some washi tape to hold it. So let's go ahead and get a couple of strips of washi to hold this in place. One side. Let's come around here with the other side. And we're going to cover that inside before we're done. All right, so we've got some red, and then to complete the bow, just take a little bit more of red baker's twine. That's also something I'm running low on. It's the only one I'm probably running out of, but I do use the red, especially at Christmas. And we can use a little bit of glossy accents to hold that bow in place. I might tighten up my washi tape on the back side as well. So that's our cards using the Ornate Christmas and Winter Trails, and these will be out on my Etsy shop very soon. So if anybody's interested in those, but you could do this with any design where you have a circular design, a little bit of a background stamp, and then just sort of kind of filling out the corner and the edge with a little touch of your pattern paper. So Thanks so much for joining me today, and I hope you enjoyed the card video as I'm trying to use up these stamp sets one more time before I move them on to Good Homes. Thanks for watching. I wanted to show you the inside. I just took a piece of thinner old scrapbook paper and cut that down to fit inside the card and glued it just on one side. And then that covers up the ribbon and things and washi that I had, and stamped it with a greeting from the stamp set.